Hey guys, my name is Abdullah. Welcome you all to this channel. And in this video, we are going to be designing this beautiful stats card that I got from frontendmentor.io. Frontendmentor.io is an amazing platform for you guys to practice your front end skills. So they have a lot of amazing challenges that you can tap into. So and when you are done with the challenge that you selected, so you can just submit your challenge, the solution to that challenge to their own website. So in this video, this is exactly what we are going to be designing. So we are having this card that looks like this for the desktop view, and we also have the mobile version of it, which looks like this exactly. So this is exactly what we're having for now. So this is the desktop version, and this is the mobile version. So in this video, we are going to be discussing a lot of things. We are going to be discussing how to use images, how to add color over images, how to use flexbox to arrange layouts like this, and also how to give different style to a particular word inside a particular sentence. So let me now go to my VS Code. So we have the index.html here, which is empty for now. And we also have the style guide that comes from frontendmentor.io. So we are having these colors, which are the primary colors. We are also having these colors also. So we are having the font size of 15 pixel, and we're having these two fonts. So firstly, the first thing that we're going to grab is these two fonts from font.google.com. So we're having this font of Inter and Lexend Deca. So let me go back to my browser. So go to fonts.google.com. So the first font is Inter. So this is it. So I'll be selecting the 400 and the 700. That is what I need. 400, 700. So the next font that I will be searching for is Lexend. This is Lexend Deca, the first one here. So that Lexend, I'll be needing the 400 only. So select this. So when you're done with your selection, you can just come here and click on this icon. So to grab the link, come here, copy the link. So that's what we are going to be using in our index.html. So first, let me generate the boilerplate. And to generate the boilerplate using VS Code, you can just press on Control, then exclamation mark, or Shift and exclamation mark rather. So hit on Enter. So come here, just paste your fonts here. Then let us give it a title. Let's say Stats Review Card. So let us save this in the body. So let me just type something. Welcome. So this is exactly what we're having for now. So let me now go back to designs to see how we are going to lay out things. So this is the design that we have. So we have the desktop one, we have the mobile one. So the convention here is that if you want to build any website, you can just start with one aspect. Maybe you start with the desktop version, then you go to the mobile, then you design the mobile one later using the concept of responsiveness, or you start with the mobile version and you go to the desktop later and you do using the concept of responsiveness. It all depends on what you are familiar with or what you want to do. But the best practice is that you should start with the mobile version first before moving to the desktop version, and that is the convention that I'll be working with in this video. So now, looking at this now, we're having this card here at the center for the mobile, and also for the desktop rather, and also for the mobile, we're having the card at the center. But if you look at the element, they are placed differently. So don't forget, we are going to be starting with the mobile version here, which means that this is exactly what we are going to be designing first before we rearrange the position of the element to look like what we have at the desktop version here. So now, this background this background color, so it represents the body, which is the same thing as what we have here. So after that, we need something that will wrap everything that we have here. We'd be needing a container that will wrap everything, just like we have it here. So we can use maybe a div with class of dot container or dot wrapper or anything. So inside that div, then we are going to be having two sections. The first section is going to house the image, and the second section is going to house the contents that we have here. You can see that it is somehow similar here also. So we're having two sections. So this is the first section, and this is the second section. The first section here houses the text, and the second one here houses the image. So let us start with that. So this is the code. Let me just get rid of this. I don't need this now. So the first thing that I'll be needing is a container. So inside that container, I can have a card. So this card is going to house two different things. The first one is that it's going to is going to house the image, then the content. So we have a card image, and the second one is card content. So for the image, let me we're having the image here inside the images folder. So let me give reference that image, which is images, then image header desktop. That's what I want to use. So let me just give it header image. To save that, so let me go to my browser. So this is what we have for now at the browser. So the next thing is for this content, let me just give it something. Okay, let me go to the design. For the content, I'm having different things inside the content. This is the first one, second. Then these stats, so we can just group them together inside a single div. Then we are going to create 3 sections inside that div. So I'm having 3 elements that I want to build up here. This is the first element, this is the second, and this is the third element. So inside this card here now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say content header. Let me use H1 for that. So it's going to have get. Oh, let me copy. I think I have test file here. Yeah. Let me copy it from here. Put that in. So we're having the header here. Let me just pull it here. So after the header, I have a paragraph. So let me just give it content text. So this is the content of the paragraph. That's good. So after the paragraphs, I'm having the stats. So let me just have it content stats. So inside that content stats, according to the design that we have here, so we're having 3 sections here. So each of the section, let me give it content stats without S. So I want 3 of them, that is multiplied by 3. I'm using M8 here. So inside each of the content stats, I want to have the title, start title. Let me use H3. Title. Then I want to add start text. So for the first title, I want to have 10K plots here. Let me just grab it from here. That's all good. So let us save it. Go to the browser. So this is what we have for now. So we are now done with the content of the website. The next one is styling of the website. So let me create a file that is called styles.css. So let me link it here at the top. So let me test it whether it is linked or not. So just set the body, the background color of the body. So just choose it just to test. Well, so it is linked properly now. So we're having the styles file linked properly. So the first thing that we're going to do in our styles is to do a reset. And to do a reset, what we have 3 things that we're going to take care of, which is the box sizing. Set it to border box. Set all paddings to 0. Then set all margins to 0. So that's it. So the next one after that is that we want to give the background color this color. So reference the body, then set the background color. So in the style guide here, we have the background color to be visit. Let me give the background color. So let me save it and come here. You can see. So everything is now looking good. So also from the design for the header color here, which we use H1 for here. That is the content header. So let me give it its own text color. So that's going to be visible. Yeah, this is it. Okay, for the paragraph, this is for the main paragraph. So let me copy it. And that paragraph from the HTML, I labeled it as content text. So set the color of that one also to this. Let me save it to see what we have so far. So it's, yeah, it's still going well. So the next one is to give these stats their own color. And for the stats, if you look at the style guide here, we're having the stats heading taking this color, and the stats also they have this color, which is this. So this is for the stats headings, and this is for the stats. And from the HTML, the stats heading, which is the same thing as style stats text. Maybe I should change it to stats heading. Stats headings. So to the CSS. Oh, let me go grab the color. So we have this. It's that there. So the stats also, which is this 10K, 314, and so on. So it's having the same color as the main heading here, as you can see. So it's having the same color as the main heading. So I can just come here and reference the stats title, and add it here. Or I can create its own style also, its own block of style, and add the color to it. So either way, it's going to work perfectly. So let me save this. So go back to my VS Code, where my reverse dot. So you can see now that we are having we've been able to achieve all the colors that we have here. Okay, guys, now that we have added the text color to the content that we have on our page, I think the next thing to do is to add some spaces in between the card that we have in there. So let us look at the design. So in the design, if you look at it very well, so we are having spaces in between from at the top, at the bottom, and also from the left and the right. So we are having spaces here, spaces here, spaces here, and also downward here. So and to do that, it means that we're going to be adding an inner padding into these body. So we're going to having an inner padding to the body. So this is the body that we have here. So you can just come here, padding. So for the top and bottom, I want to specify a padding of, let's say, 100 pixels. And for the left and right, I'm going to have 50 pixels. So save that. So you can see that we're not having the spaces. For the left and right, let me reduce it a little bit. Let me give it 30. So I think this looks okay now. So you can see that we're having spaces from the top and bottom, and also from the left and the right. So looking at this image, you can see that this image is taking more than the screen size that we have here. It's covering more than the screen that we have here. And inside the index of system that we have here, the image is rendered with card image, then the image. So you can just come down here. So say card image, and also make reference to the image that we have inside there and specify the width to 100%. So it's going to look good. So you can see now that we have specified this now. So it's looking all good. So the image is looking all good now. But if you look at the files that we have here, we're having two different images. We have one for desktop and one for the mobile. Since we are designing for the mobile, so let me change this to mobile one. So when we get to the desktop version, we're going to change it to the desktop version. So now that we have the image like that, so the next thing that we have in the design is that we are going to give the card background color, its own background color, which is this. So and everything in the card is rendered with this card tag, with this card class name. So you can just come here, specify the card, then background color. So the background color from the style guide it is, yeah, this is it. Paste that and save it. Wow. So we are having everything okay now. So everything is looking good now. So the next thing is that looking at the card content that we have here, you can see that we're having spaces in here, in here, in here, and also downward here. So that is going to be rendered with padding. So we're going to pad, but we're going to add inner padding to the left, right, top, and bottom. So and that is rendered with the card contents that we have here. So you can see that inside the card tag, we're having two things. We're having the card image, then we're having the card content. And the padding that we want to add it to the card content here. So you can just come here, card content. So add padding, not padding of 50 pixels. Let's save it to see what we have. So I think it looks good now. So the padding, the image, the size that we have here now is all good. So the next thing is that looking at the design, everything, the text, all the text is centralized. So we're gonna have a text align to center. Save that. Good. Everything is now centralized. So the next thing is to make reference to this card content header. So this is the content header from the so this is what we have. Get insight that helps grow your business. So the content header here now. So what we want to add to it is uh the the margin bottom. We want to add margin bottom to that content header. I should have I can add this to this, but any style that you add into this content header we start is going to be applied to both the content header and also the start title, and that's actually not what we want. So I want to specify the margin bottom here to something like, let's say, 20 pixel. So save that. Good. So also, if you look at the design, we're having a word inside that each one that has a different color. And to achieve that or to do that, what we do is that we are going to wrap this word inside its own tag. So let me add a span tag. That's an inline tag. So if you save it now, nothing will change. But if you come to your CSS and specify its own style, that is, make reference to the content header, then the span that we have inside that header, and specify any style here is going to be applied on that text. So I want to specify the color to this soft violet color. Paste that and save it. Boom. So you can see everything is going smooth. So the next thing is add a space in between this text and what we have downward here, which are the stats. So and that text it has the class name of content text. You can just come here after the okay. This we already have it here already. So we can just add margin bottom to it. Margin bottom of 20 pixel. So all good now. So the next thing is these stats that we have. So if you look at the design here, we're having three different stats. So the first one for the number of companies, the number of templates that we have, and also the number of queries. So looking at what we have here and also what we have for the desktop one, we can see that this one is arranged vertically and this one is arranged horizontally. So we can achieve that with the use of flexbox. We can achieve something like this with the use of flexbox. So it means that we're going to have a flex container that is going to be wrapped around these stats that we have here, both for the desktop and for the mobile. And for that flex container is going to have three different flex items. The first one is going to house the number of companies, the second one for the templates, and the third one for the queries, just like we have it right here. So, and after that, we are going to specify a flex direction for the mobile to column and flex direction for the desktop to row, so that we're going to have the same thing that we have in the design here. So let us go back to our CSS. So the stats, I have is with the class name of content stats. So you can just come here, content stat, set display flex. So if you save this, everything is going to be in horizontal format, and that's what we want. We want flex direction of column for the mobile. Save it, boom. So that's what we have. So we want to add gaps in between the element that we have here. So we can just say gap of, let's say, 15 pixel. Save it, boom. So that is exactly what we have for now. So we're not done yet. Looking at this design here, we can see that the companies, the templates, the queries, they are all in capital letters. And if you look at the design here, we're having them in small letters. So you can either change it from the design here or you can change it from the CSS. Oops, I think there's a little bit of error here. This H3 is not supposed to be here. So it is this div that we're supposed to set to H3. And this div that we have here is supposed to be in paragraph P. This is actually what's supposed to have. So now we want to capitalize these companies, templates, queries, and we're having the same class name for everything, which is the start headings. So you can just copy one of the headings and come here. Okay, we already have it here, start headings. So you can just add the text transform to it. So the text transform, you can transform text to capitalize. Capitalize means it's going to change the first letter of each word to capital letter. You can set it to lowercase, you can set it to uppercase, and so on. So what we want is uppercase. Save it, boom. You can see that everything is now in uppercase. So you can reduce the size, font size to 10 pixels. I think that should be okay. So that's all we have for now. So, and also, if you look at what we have in the design, you will notice that the card is rounded at the edge. If you look at each of the edges, so it is rounded. So we can achieve that with the border radius. And where we are going to add this to is the card itself. You know, the card is the one that houses everything that we have here. You can see. So we can just come here in the card, add the border radius to it, the border radius of 10 pixels should be okay. Save it. So you can see that you are having it right here. So let us look at the top. if you look at the top, you can see that it is not visible at the top. Why? Because of the image that we have on top of it. So, and if you want to solve that, you can just set the overflow to hidden. Save that, boom, everything is now looking good. So everything is now looking good. So the next thing that we want to do is to add the fonts to these content that we have here. So the fonts that we grabbed already, so we can just come here and grab the font family. So this one is for the inter and this one is for the Lexden. Let me just copy the inter first. And that inter, according to the style guide, is for the headings. It's for the headings. And inside here, we are having this one as the heading and also the stats heading here. So in the style guide, we can just put it to here. Content header and start head and start title. So save that, boom. You can see that it's looking good now. I think we also have it for these stats headings also. Let me paste it here. All good. So the last one, which is the length fonts, so it's for the content text, which is right here. So this text. So you can just come here, put it, save it. So I think everything is now looking good. So let me reduce the font size of this to something like 14 pixel. Save it. Boom. So I think we are now close to the to what we have for the design. So let me reduce the spaces that we have here for the card content. Let me reduce the padding to 30. 40. Okay. I think it's okay now. So this is exactly what we're having for now. I think we are closed. We're getting closer to the design. So let me change this M to capital letter because that's what we have in the design, and also add spaces in between the elements that we have here in the stats content. Firstly, let me change the M to capital letter. So you can just come down here, change the M to capital letter, save that. So on the style, for the stats title, okay, I don't have the stats title, let me just copy it. For the stats title, I want to have margin bottom of 5 pixel. I think that should be okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. So this is exactly what we have for now. So we are getting closer to the design. So the only thing that's left now is the overlay that we have on the image, this color that we have on the image here. So we have different ways of doing that. So the first way is that you can come to the card image here, inside here. So you can just add an empty div. So you can give it any class name. So I like to give it something like overlay. So that overlay, if you save it, you won't see anything, but it's the CSS that's going to handle everything, every other thing. So you can just come here, reference the card image firstly, set the position of it to relative, then you reference the card image, then the overlay inside that card image. So we can give it width since it's an empty div, so it's not going to show anything else unless if it has a content in it. So but we want to override that by giving it width and height 100 pixel, 100 pixel, and also I want to give it background color of let's just choose this. So this is going to be the overlay for now. So this overlay, what we want to do is that we want to push it on top of this image. So and to do that, we use position of absolute to do that. You can see that now that it is now on top of the image. So you specify the width and height to cover the image. Width and height, you can specify it to 100%. So that's going to cover the entire width of the image, you can see. And also, if you want it to cover the entire height, you set it to 100% also. So you can see that it has covered the image, but this is exactly not what we want. So we want to decrease the opacity. We want to add opacity to it so that the image also is going to be what? It's going to be visible. It means that we want to set the transparent to that overlay. And let us go by the transparent of 0.5. I think this is okay. Let me check the design. So this is closer to it. Yeah, I think it looks good. So 0.5. So this is one way of achieving something like this overlay in CSS. The second way is that you can, let me just comment this out and also comment this overlay. So we don't need the overlay for this. Let me delete it. So the second way is that we reference the card image itself. Then we are going to have what we call a pseudo selector. So we can use before or after. Then whenever you are using something like this pseudo select, we call it pseudo class selectors. So the first thing is specify the content. So specify it to nothing. Then you specify the width and height and position for it. So if we say width of 100 pixel, then height of 100 pixel, position of absolute. Even before that, you can just give it background color. so that we're going to visualize it, save it. So this is exactly what we have for now. You can see that it's almost the same as what we have in the overlay. So the next thing that we're going to do is that the width and height is specified to 100% instead of 100 pixel. Good. So the next thing is specify the opacity for it also. The opacity, boom. So you can see that it's looking good. So then you specify the color to the color that we have. And the color that we have from the style guide, it is the violet color, which is this here. So you can just give it that color. Instead of getting it brown, so you can just give it that color, save it, boom. Everything looks good. So it's either you go by the overlay method or you go by the pseudo class method. So it all depends on what you want or what you like. So this is exactly what we are having for now. I think we are done with the mobile aspect. So this is exactly what we have for the mobile. So it's here in the HTML. So this is exactly what we have. So you can see everything looks good. So, but before we move to the responsive parts of this site, so let us click on inspect. Let me just increase this browser. You can see this is actually how it's going to look like on desktop because we've not specified the responsive part of it. So let me click on this to see how it's going to be look like on mobile. You can see that we are having an amazing stats card for the mobile version. You can see everything is looking okay. So this is exactly what we have. So the next thing that we'll be doing is that we want to transform this into this. So you know this is how it looks like on desktop, and this is how it looks like on mobile. So we want to transform this that we have for the mobile. So we want it to look exactly like this. So that's exactly what we are going to be doing in the next section. Okay, guys, so the task ahead of us now is to transform this mobile version into this desktop version. So we need to look into the elements very carefully to see what changes so that we'll be able to know how to structure things. So looking at the text that we have here, you can see that the text here is at the left and here the image is at the right. So and here, if you look at where the image is at the top and the content is at the what is at the bottom here. So how do we transform the image and the text to look like this? So that's the first task. So let us go back to our code. So this is what we have for the in the browser. So let me just close this. I just close everything here. So you can see that in the desktop view, we are still having the image, the mobile view, and that's not actually what we want. So going back to this. So now what we use to render everything here is what we call the card, the div with card. You can see that this is the image that we have here, and also this is the content. So and we have them stacked upon each other. That is, the image comes first before the card content, and the appearance is what we call the card. So now what we can use to place the image and the card side by side, according to what we've learned before, is what we call the concept of flexbox. So you can use flexbox to handle that. Okay, now that we know that we can use flexbox to handle that, so is it that we are going to specify the display of flexbox here or where? So if you do it there, yes, it's going to give you something closer to what you want. You can see here, but it's going to affect the mobile view also. So if you go back to the mobile, so click on this. You can see that it has affected what we have it for the mobile, and this is exactly not what we want for the mobile. So it means that this display flux is not display of flex is not proper here. So let us get it back to where it is before. So if you want to set it for the desktop here, so what you need to do is to go down here. So that is where the media queries come to play. So media screen, then and put a space. Then inside this bracket, you specify your media feature. So we have the minimum width, we have the maximum width. So it all depends on where you are coming from. So all the styles that we have here, upward, so they are the styles for the mobile. So everything that we've written before, so they are the styles for mobile. So it means that we want to transform, we want to move to the styles for the desktop. So it means that when you want to specify your media query, you use minimum width. So if you are coming from desktop to mobile, you use max instead of using minimum. So you use max. So now that we are transforming to the desktop version. So you use minimum width. That is, so it is until the screen hits this minimum width, then we apply all the styles that we have inside this block of code. So that is exactly how responsiveness works. So the minimum width. So how do we now know the minimum width that we want? So looking at this now, so this mobile version, we're having this 414 as the screen size, the width of this mobile version. So if it goes to the if you go to the iPad, you can see that we're having 768. This is the height for this is the screen size for the iPad version. So if you go up like that, so it's going to be changing. It's going to be changing just like that. So if you now go to this, so we're having 1440, but this style we want to apply it both for the tab and also for the desktop. So it means that we can start from something like 768 pixel. So this is the breakpoint for the tab tablet. You can use something that is less than this, maybe 600, or it all depends on what you want. But let us start with 768, so that this style also is going to be applied for both the tab and also the desktop version. So, and what we want is that we want to specify display flex for the card. So make reference to the card, then set display flex to it. So save it, boom. So you can see that this is what we have for the desktop. So if you go back to the iPad, you can see that it's still the same thing. And if you go to the mobile, so you can see that we have what we have initially for the mobile. So it does not affect anything on the mobile. So let's now go back to this. So now that we have this, the next thing is that looking at the design here also. So you can see that the image here is at the left, is at the right rather, and the text is at the left. But if you look at what we have here, it is the reverse. So how do we handle that? How do we move this image to the right and this text to the what? To the left. Despite the fact that from the HTML content here, so the image is what we have at the top and the card is what we have for the bottom. So one way to solve this is that you can move this downward. So if you move this downward here, and put it here. So you can see that the content is now coming forward and the image is now coming as the second one. But it is going to affect your mobile view also. You can see that the image is now going down for the mobile. So and the text is going up for the mobile. So that is not what we want. So let us reverse everything. So, but if you want to solve this now, we have another thing in these the in the for the display flex that we can use. So we can specify the flex direction, and the flex direction that we know is row and column. But we also have what we call column reverse or row reverse rather. So we also have what we call row reverse. Row reverse, what it's going to do is that it's going to reorder the elements starting from the right to the left. Initially if you specify row, it means that the first assuming this is our flex container, so let's say it has three child. So the first child, the second child. So this is going to be the first child, this is going to be the second child, and this is going to be the third child. But if you are using row reverse, so what is going to happen is that the first child is going to be here. Then the second child is going to be here. The third child is going to be here. So that is exactly what we want to use now. So specify is to row reverse. So everything is going to be reversed. Save that. You can see, wow, we are having the first child to be here and the second child to be here. And it's not going to affect the mobile view. So you can see that we are still having the normal one for the mobile view. So now that we have achieved that successfully, so the next thing is that looking at these content, so it's no more aligned to the center. So the text aligned is at the what is at the left aspect. You can see that everything is aligned to the left here. So and to do that, we specify the text align for the card content. Where is it? So we specify the text align for the card contents here to the center. So what you need to do is that you come here, then specify make a reference to card content, then you set the text align to left. Save that, boom. Everything has been aligned to the left. You can see everything has been aligned what to the left of the container. So the next thing is that all these three images, the stats rather, all these three things, so they are stacked upon each other. They are displayed on horizontal version, not like this. So and to handle that, come back here. This is where we applied the content stats. We specify the flex direction to column. So you can just come here, make reference to the content stats, then set the flex direction back to row. So we want to set it to row. Save that. Boom. Everything is looking good. So you can see that it is now close to what we have here. So looking at this also, you can see that the size of this content and the size of this image is almost the same thing compared to what we have here. So the sizes, they are almost the same thing. So and to solve that, we specify the card to display of flex, and inside that card we're having two child, the card image and the card content. So we want everything to be same. We want them to have equal space. So you can just say card image, comma, then reference the card content also. Card content. So give it a flex of 1. Flex. Yeah, so that's it. So that's how it's going to look like. So we are now having the same size for both the image and the content. So the next thing that we want to do, according to the design here, is that we want to change the image. If you remember, in the previous section, we changed the image to mobile version. So if you're looking at this HTML here, you can see that it's mobile here. So we want to change the image back to desktop version. So what we do is that we can duplicate this here. and change this to desktop. So if you save this now, it's going to be showing two different images. The first one for the mobile and the second one for the desktop. But that's not what we want. We want to hide this second one at the mobile, at the desktop version. So what we do is that we can give it class name of mobile image, mobile image, and for this we can give it a class name of desktop image. We can just make reference to its desktop image. Yeah. So at the mobile section, or at the desktop section rather. So you can just come here and disable the mobile. So once you don't want to see the mobile, so set the display to none. So it's not going to show on the mobile. So you can see now that we are having this to be the image for the what, for the desktop. So if you come here, you can see that this is the one that is showing. This one you can see that it's not highlighting it because it's not visible. This one is not visible. So this is the one that we are seeing now. You can see this is the desktop image. But if you go back to the mobile version, you can see that both images are showing. So what we need to do is that at the mobile version, we want to set the desktop image to none. So we want to hide the desktop image at the mobile version. So you can just come down here to desktop image display none. So we don't want to see it for the mobile. So you can see now that it is now hiding. So if you go back to the desktop, the, the desktop image, so you can now view the desktop image here also. So since we are setting the mobile image to display none, so the desktop image that we hide or the for the mobile version, so we are going to set it to display block. So it's going to show now. Boom. So you can see now that everything is looking good. So we are seeing the desktop image here, and at the mobile section we are seeing the what, the the mobile image. So the next thing that we want to do is to reduce the size of this card so that we are going to have enough space at the edges of the what, of the container. So we can do that here, card here. So you can say width, maximum width of um let's say, let me use 700 pixel. That's too small. Okay, maximum width of 700 pixel. Then set the width to 100. Let me just, okay. Let me change this to 1000. I think this is closer to this. Yeah, I think it's closer. I think it's closer. So the next thing that we want to do is that we want to push everything to be at the center. We want to push everything to be at the center and to centralize anything. So you can just, since the card here is inside this container, so we can set the styles for this container at this point. So we can set it to display flex, then flex justify content, set it to center, and align items also set it to center. Save that. It should be centralized. Okay, it is now centralized vertically. So to centralize it horizontally, the reason is that if you look at the container, this is the current height of the container. I want height of container to take the whole width. So you can just come here, set the height also to 100%. So if that is not working, so you can just, okay, I know what's going on. So let me actually set it to the body instead of container. Body. Let me just get rid of this. Okay, what's going on? Okay, so body minimum width of 100 VH. View height. Not width, sorry. Minimum height. What am I doing? Minimum height. Good. So you can see now that we've solved the issue. So the issue is that we will specify the minimum height for this so that this display flex is going to work properly. So if you want to centralize anything, so you need to specify that the minimum height for the body is this, and the display flex, justify content, and also align items. You can also use the grid system instead of this. It all depends on what you want. So if you want to use the grid system, so just set everything to display of grid, then place item, set it to center. You can see that we are having the same effect. So everything is now centralized. So you can use either grid or flex items, flexbox rather. So the next thing is looking at the design, you can see that this is pushed to the bottom. So we are having enough space here. So we're having much more spaces here also. So what we can do to that is that we can make reference to that aspect, which is the card content. Is the card content. So we can set everything. We can set the display flex up to it, then give it flex direction of column. Okay. So now that we are using the flex item for this also. So what we need to do is that this content text. So we want it to have to grow to have enough space. The content text. So we need to have enough space. So we can just say flex of 1. So it's going to grow. Boom. So you can see that it has pushed the content downward here. It has pushed everything. So it has pushed everything downward here. So we can now increase the font size. You can see that this content text at the mobile version, we are giving it a font size of 14. So and we want to increase the font size so that's going to look okay. So if you look at it here, you can see that it is a little bit small. So what we can do here is that font size, we set it to, let's say, 16 pixel. So I think it's okay like that. So the next thing that we have is that we want to give enough space here. You can see that the space that we have here is just small here. So we want to have enough space. And what we use to specify that space is padding. So we added padding to the card content here, padding of 40 pixel. So what we now want to do at this responsiveness side is that card content, we want to add different margin to it. Let us add a padding of 60 pixel instead of 40 that we have initially. So you can see that it's now closer to what we have in the design. And looking at this side, which is the padding right, so it's having more padding than the other side. So we can just come here, specify the padding right to something like 80 pixel. So wow, so you can see that we are getting closer and closer to what we have in the design. Let me reduce this to 50. So what else do we need to do? Okay, so for this stats that we have here, so let me give spaces in between them. So for the stats, so you can just come down here, then you set the um, justify content to space between. Okay, that's great. Okay, so the card contents or the stats rather. Okay, the card contents. So let me give it gap of 10 or 20. Okay. So I think that is actually getting closer. And also for the card image on the height to be 100%. Yes. So I think everything is now looking good for the desktop version also. So everything is now looking good for the desktop version. Yeah. So this is exactly what we are able to achieve for the desktop version. So you can see if we want to add different spaces between the content that we have here, so we can use what we call line spacing. So that is going to be the content text. So you can just have line spacing or text space. Is it line? Okay, line height rather, not line space. Line height. So we can have 18 pixel. Let me increase this to 24. So you can see that it's giving spaces between the lines. Let me give it something bigger so that I'll be able to see, you can see. So that is exactly the work of the line spacing. So it's going to give you spaces in between the lines that we have here. So back to 24, I think. So I think this is cool. Like this is okay. So this is actually good. So and that is exactly what we have in the design. Like you can see, so everything is looking perfect. So this is what we have for the desktop version. So if you want to change it to the mobile version, so you can just shrink your screen size. So you can see everything is looking as it should be. So this is the break point. You can see, boom. So that's the break point. That's the 768. So this is exactly what we have. So let us go to the inspect. So this is the desktop version. This is the mobile version. This is how it's going to look like on mobile. So if you you go to the iPad. So this is exactly how it's going to look like on iPad. So I think we've covered a lot of things in this video. So we talked about the responsiveness, how to go about that. We talked about how to give color to a specific text. So we also talked about how to add an overlay to your image. So we use flexbox, we use display of grid, we talked about a lot of things. So if you find a lot of value inside in this video, consider subscribing to my channel so that whenever I drop a new video, you'll be the first one to be notified. Thank you very much. Bye for now.